Pre-bounce, me-bounce, T-bounce. If it's coming off the backboard, that's mine. That's mine. Angel Reese is back in the building. Now, this can go one or two ways. One or three ways, really. Number one, there's a lot of bloopies, and we get some content. Not mad.
Unrivaled just executed a three-way trade in the middle of their season to bring back a player who didn't even finish their inaugural championship run. We're not talking about a typical off-season roster move or a trade deadline acquisition. This happened after the league had already been operating for a month, after teams had established chemistry, after rotations were set, after everyone understood their roles, and they blew it all up for one person. Here's how it went down. Courtney Williams gets shipped to Vinyl, BC. Azura Stevens goes to Hive, BC. And Angel Reese returns to Rose, BC. The team
WNBA are the same two people that are just moving around pieces on their chessboard because they want to. They're playing checkers with y'all because you guys are just pieces on a board. A bunch of pawns on the board, dare I say. But it could only go one of three ways. We get bloopies, ratings go up, ratings stay the same. If they go down, yikes. If they go down. Let's get right into it. Please like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
She helped build but didn't stick around to see win it all. On paper, this looks like roster management. In reality, it's something else entirely. Rose, BC apparently didn't even receive a player in exchange for Stevens, which makes zero sense from a competitive basketball standpoint. When you're trading away a versatile forward who actually showed up for your championship game, you'd expect something of value in return. Unless, of course, the value you're seeking isn't measured in points, rebounds, or defensive stops. The official announcement frames this as Angel defending the championship she won. Except she didn't win it, she watched it happen via FaceTime from wherever she decided was more important.
Reese Stevens, are you okay with just getting traded on a whim? Let me know your thoughts, Azura, in the comment section. I'm just curious what you guys think. Let's get right into it. WNBA star Angel, my Angel, Reese will return to Unrivaled to defend the championship. Oh yeah. What trade allowed Angel Reese to join?
Than being with her teammates. The league is gambling that Angel Reese's name recognition, social media following, and ability to generate conversation is worth more than the players they're moving around. They're betting that her return will spike ratings, create viral moments, and justify the chaos they just created. But there's a massive assumption baked into that bet, that Angel's absence was the problem holding Unrivaled back. Think about what this trade means for everyone involved. You've got players who committed to this season from day one, who showed up for training, who built relationships with teammates, who learned systems and developed chemistry. Then, suddenly, a month into the season, the entire structure shifts. Azura Stevens, who was there for every
WNBA star Angel Reese is returning to Unrivaled. On Wednesday, what charge was James Pierce Jr. arrested? James Pierce, you're a piece of shit. I talked about this on my football channel. You're a piece of shit. WNBA star Angel Reese is returning to Unrivaled. On Wednesday, the Miami-based 3-on-3 league announced Reese would be coming back for her second season, after initially opting not to play. She is rejoining Rose, BC, the team she helped win Unrivaled's inaugural title. Well, that's not true. We're one paragraph in and we're already telling lies. Angel Reese didn't play in the final game.
Practice, every game, every crucial moment, including the championship she helped win, gets told her services are no longer needed on Rose. She's moving to Hive whether she likes it or not. Courtney Williams, a veteran point guard with playoff experience, gets relocated to Vinyl. Neither of them gets a choice in the matter. This isn't how professional sports leagues typically operate, especially startup leagues trying to establish credibility. You don't restructure everything mid-season unless you're desperate, or unless someone with significant leverage is demanding special treatment. And that's what makes this situation so revealing. Unrivaled bent every rule they had, or maybe exposed that they never really had rules to begin with, to accommodate one
plays Hive at 8:45 Eastern on TNT and Chew TV. The game can also be streamed on Max. Angel Reese comes back against Money Mitch put him in a ditch. Wow. This shakes things up. I can't wait to watch the highlights, the boobies on Twitter.
Players' timeline and priorities. What happens next season when another player wants special treatment? What happens when someone else decides they want to opt out and then opt back in whenever it's convenient? Aid has been deliberately vague about the details. What exactly did Vinyl give up to get Williams? Why was Rose willing to lose Stevens without getting a player back? Who initiated these discussions? And how long were they happening before the announcement? The lack of transparency suggests this wasn't a basketball decision made by coaches evaluating talent and team needs.
Of the ratings. Oh, you guys didn't think I was going to leave you empty-handed without the ratings from this past weekend, did you? You guys know me better than that. Friday, February 6th, Unrivaled Lunar Owls versus the Aces, 130,000 total viewers, 50,000 in the 18 to 49 demographic. And then Unrivaled, you have the Hive versus the Breeze, 40,000 in the 18 to 49 viewers, 150,000 total. And then you fast forward to Saturday, Unrivaled Phantom vs. Mist on True TV, 70,000 viewers. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate all the support.
This was a business decision made by ownership, who decided that bringing Angel Reese back was worth whatever disruption it would cause, whatever message it would send to other players, and whatever risk it posed to the competitive integrity they've been trying to build. Angel Reese had a phenomenal start to Unrivaled's inaugural season. She was named Defensive Player of the Year. She put up a 2-0 rebound, 2-0 point game against the Lunar Owls that had everyone talking. She was dominating the boards, controlling the paint, doing exactly what Rose BC needed from her. The team was rolling, building momentum, looking like legitimate championship contenders. And then, when it mattered most, she wasn't there. Rose BC made it to the championship game. This was the moment the entire season had been built.
We get bloopies. Ratings go up. Ratings stay the same. If they go down, yikes. If they go down. Let's get right into it. Please like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You guys remember this, don't you?
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball.
Right.
People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game.
That's right.
And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll
building toward. Every practice, every game, every sacrifice was for this opportunity. And Angel Reese experienced it through a phone screen. She FaceTimed her teammates from a nightclub while they were actually putting in the work to win a championship. There's no injury report here, no family emergency, no extenuating circumstances that made her absence unavoidable. She simply chose to be somewhere else when her team needed her most. Here's what makes this even more complicated. Rose BC didn't fall apart without Angel. They didn't struggle to replace her production. They didn't lose the championship lamenting what could have been if only their star player had shown up. Collier Copper led that team to a title. Azura Stevens, the same player who just got traded away to make room for Angel's return, was there for every crucial possession. The players who actually valued finishing what they started delivered a championship. They proved they could win without the player everyone assumed was indispensable. This wasn't Angel's first incomplete season. She didn't finish her sophomore year with the Chicago Sky either, leaving before the WNBA season concluded. There's a clear pattern emerging. Explosive starts that generate massive attention and social media engagement, followed by early exits when the grind becomes real or when other opportunities present themselves. She's exceptional at creating moments that go viral, at building her brand through highlights and headlines. But championships aren't built on moments, they're built on showing up every single day, especially when it's difficult, especially when nobody's watching, especially when you'd rather be somewhere else. When a player misses the championship game they help their team reach, it sends a message about priorities. It tells you what they actually value beyond the rhetoric and social media posts. Basketball at this level requires sacrifice. It requires choosing the team over personal convenience, over other opportunities, over whatever else might be competing for your attention. Angel's absence during those finals wasn't just a missed game, it was a statement about commitment. And now Unrivaled is restructuring their entire league to bring back someone who already demonstrated she'll leave when something better comes along. If Rose BC won the championship without Angel in the building, what exactly is she bringing back besides name recognition and Instagram followers? Let's talk about the player who actually deserves attention in this story. Azura Stevens has been in the WNBA since 2018. She's played for Dallas, Chicago, and Los Angeles. She's been a steady, reliable professional who shows up, does her job, and doesn't create drama. When Rose BC needed her during Unrivaled's inaugural season, she was there. When they made their championship run, she contributed. When Angel Reese was watching the finals on FaceTime, Azura Stevens was on the court helping secure that title. And her reward for all that loyalty and professionalism? Getting traded to Hive BC to make room for the player who quit on the team. Think about what every other player in Unrivaled just witnessed. Your commitment doesn't matter. Your professionalism doesn't matter. Actually, showing up when it counts doesn't matter. What matters is your social media following, your ability to generate clicks, your brand recognition beyond basketball. Azura Stevens did everything right. She was a model teammate. She performed when it mattered. She helped deliver a championship. And she got moved like a chess piece because someone with a bigger Instagram account decided they wanted to come back. Then there's Courtney Williams, who got shipped to Vinyl BC in this three-way deal. She's a legitimate point guard with years of playoff experience. She brings leadership, ball handling, and the kind of veteran presence that actually wins games. The reporting barely mentions what Vinyl gave up to get her, or why Rose was willing to move her. She's just collateral damage in the pursuit of bringing back Angel Reese. No explanation of how this helps Rose competitively. No justification for disrupting a player who committed to the season from day one. Just a quiet transaction that reveals how little power most players actually have. There's an unspoken tax that professional athletes pay when they choose loyalty over leverage. Azura Stevens and Courtney Williams both paid it. They committed to Unrivaled for the full season. They didn't opt out and then change their minds when it was convenient. They didn't make demands or create drama. They just played basketball and trusted that their work would be valued. Instead, they learned that in this league, loyalty gets you traded, while flakiness gets you a primetime return announcement on TNT. This trade exposed something uncomfortable about how Unrivaled actually operates. When Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart want something to happen, it happens. Rules bend. Structures shift. Players get moved regardless of what they've contributed or how they've conducted themselves. And the players who don't have ownership stakes, who don't have the social media clout, who just show up and play basketball, they're expendable. They're pieces on a board that can be rearranged whenever the people with real power decide ratings or content or whatever other priority matters more than competitive integrity or basic fairness. Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart are the co-founders and owners of Unrivaled. They built this league from the ground up, secured the funding, negotiated the media deals, and control every major decision. They also happen to be the two players leading the WNBA Players Association's collective bargaining agreement negotiations on behalf of every player in the league. Let that sink in for a moment. The same two people who just executed a mid-season trade, moving players around without their input, disrupting team chemistry for business reasons, are simultaneously sitting across from WNBA owners demanding better treatment, guaranteed contracts, and more player protections. When Collier and Stewart negotiate with WNBA owners, they're advocating for players to have more control over their careers, more say in personnel decisions, better job security, and protection from arbitrary moves that prioritize business over player welfare. Meanwhile, back at Unrivaled, they just demonstrated they'll sacrifice player stability and loyalty whenever it serves their interests. Azura Stevens didn't get a choice about being traded. Courtney Williams didn't get consulted about moving to a different team mid-season. They got told what was happening and expected to accept it because ownership decided Angel Reese's return was worth more than their contributions. This is the conflict of interest nobody wants to address directly. How can you credibly argue that WNBA owners should treat players better when you're treating the players in your own league as expendable assets? How can you demand respect for player autonomy when you're moving people around like pieces on a chessboard? The answer is you can't. Not without revealing that the issue was never really about principles, it was about who holds the power. When Collier and Stewart are the players being controlled, they want protections. When they're the ones in control, those same protections suddenly become inconvenient. Every player in Unrivaled just got a masterclass in how power actually works. The official messaging is all about empowering women's basketball, creating opportunities, building something players can own and control. But when push comes to shove, ownership is ownership. The players with equity make decisions that benefit their interests. The players without equity get moved around and told to be grateful for the opportunity. That's not revolutionary, that's just capitalism with better PR. This matters beyond Unrivaled, because those CBA negotiations are happening right now. WNBA owners are going to remember this. When Collier and Stewart demand guaranteed contracts and no trade clauses, when they argue that players deserve more, say in personnel decisions, when they push for protections against being moved without consent, those owners are going to point directly at this situation. They're going to ask why players should be granted protections that the player-owned league doesn't even offer. And that's a fair question. If the people advocating for player rights don't provide those same rights when they're running the show, what does that tell you about whether they actually believe in the principles or just want power transferred to themselves? Let's look at what Unrivaled's ratings actually were before Angel Reese decided to come back. Friday, February 6th, Lunar Owls vs. Aces pulled 130,000 total viewers with 50,000 inches, the critical 1-8 to 4-9 demographic. The second game that night, Hive vs. Breeze, hit 150,000 viewers with 40,000 inches the demo. Then Saturday's game, Phantom vs. Mist on True TV, dropped to 70,000 viewers. These are the numbers the league was generating without Angel Reese. Not spectacular, but steady. More importantly, they weren't declining. The audience that committed to watching Unrivaled was still showing up. Here's what those stable numbers tell us. The league didn't collapse without Angel. The existing audience wasn't tuning in specifically for her. They were watching for the product itself, the 3-on-3 format, the competition, the players who showed up from day one and committed to the full season. Angel's absence didn't crater the ratings, didn't send viewership into freefall, didn't prove she was the indispensable piece holding everything together. The league survived just fine, which raises the uncomfortable question that nobody at Unrivaled wants to answer. If the ratings held steady without her, why assume her return changes anything? There are only 3 ways this plays out. First scenario, Angel comes back and creates content. Maybe she gets into it with other players, generates viral moments, gives people something to clip and share on social media. The basketball itself might not improve, but the drama and storylines give casual fans a reason to pay attention. That's the blooper reel outcome, where engagement matters more than competition. Second scenario, ratings actually spike. The curiosity factor kicks in hard. People who weren't watching Unrivaled suddenly tune in for her February 20th debut against Hive. Maybe the numbers jump to 250,000 or 300,000, and suddenly the league can justify all the chaos they created. That's the optimistic projection, where Angel's brand power translates directly to sustained viewership growth. Third scenario, and this is the one that keeps executives up at night. Nothing changes. Angel returns, plays her game, dominates the boards, and the viewing audience stays exactly where it was. The people who cared about Angel Reese were already watching. Her return doesn't bring new viewers because the overlap between her fan base and Unrivaled's existing audience is nearly complete. The curiosity bump lasts 1, maybe 2 games. Then everything settles back to baseline. Based on every pattern we've seen with manufactured moments in sports media, here's the likely outcome. Her debut gets a bump, maybe to 200,000 or 225,000 viewers. Social media buzzes for 48 hours. Then, by week 2, ratings return to exactly where they were before she came back. Because that's what always happens. The initial spike is real, but the sustained growth is a myth. And Unrivaled just restructured their entire league, traded away loyal players, and bent their own rules based on a temporary curiosity bump that won't last past Valentine's Day. It all goes back to that 2023 NCAA championship game. LSU versus Iowa. Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. The gesture, the trash talk, the "you can't see me" wave that went viral instantly. Angel has been explicit about this. She's built her entire brand on that single moment. She's said it directly. "I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. I'll take the bad guy role. I'll take that on because look where women's basketball is." People are talking about women's basketball because of one single game. That's her positioning. That's the foundation everything else is built on. And here we are, 2 years removed from that championship game. And Angel is still leveraging it. Every interview, every social media post, every public appearance somehow circles back to that moment when she was the villain who beat Caitlin Clark on the biggest stage. It was an incredible moment, no question. It generated massive attention and helped elevate women's college basketball to unprecedented levels. But it was also 2 years ago. At some point, you have to deliver something beyond that initial viral moment. At some point, the brand needs to evolve past a single gesture. While Angel has been riding that championship wave, Caitlin Clark actually transformed her game and her impact. She won WNBA Rookie of the Year. She became an all-star starter. She broke attendance records across the league. She took the Indiana Fever from one of the worst teams in the WNBA to a playoff contender. She elevated everyone around her and proved that her college success wasn't a fluke or a moment. It was the foundation for sustained excellence. That's the difference between building a brand on one moment versus building a career on consistent growth. Here's the uncomfortable reality about brands built on viral moments. They have an expiration date. The cultural currency of that championship gesture diminishes every month. New storylines emerge. New rivalries develop. The fans who are captivated by villain Angel versus hero Caitlin have moved on to other narratives. And if your entire value proposition is, "Remember that time 2 years ago when I did the thing," eventually people stop caring. Eventually they want to know what you've done lately, what you're building toward, whether you're more than just a highlight reel from someone else's career milestone. This is why Angel's return to Unrivaled matters beyond just the basketball. It's a test of whether she has value beyond that championship moment. Can she generate sustained interest? Can she deliver performance that justifies the disruption her return caused? Can she prove she's more than a content creator who happens to play basketball? Because right now, Unrivaled is gambling everything on the residual brand power of a gesture that happened in college 2 years ago. They're betting that moment still resonates enough to move ratings, to justify restructuring the league, to make trading away loyal players worthwhile. And if it doesn't, if that moment has finally lost its power, then what exactly was the point? February 20th, Rose BC versus Hive BC, 8:45 p.m. Eastern on TNT and True TV, streaming on Max. Unrivaled is giving Angel Reese the full promotional treatment, the prime time slot, the maximum platform, the biggest possible stage for her return. And her first opponent? Napheesa Collier's Hive, the team that just received Azura Stevens in the trade that made Angel's comeback possible. Think about the optics of that for a second. The player who actually showed up for the championship gets to face the player who watched it on FaceTime. The professional who got traded away versus the brand name who got special treatment. That's not an accident, that's manufactured drama. Here's what's going to happen. And we can predict this with near certainty based on every similar situation in sports media history. Angel's debut game will get a viewership bump purely on curiosity. People who haven't been watching Unrivaled will tune in to see what all the fuss is about. Maybe the numbers hit 200,000 or even push toward 250,000. Social media will light up with highlights and hot takes. For 48 hours, it'll feel like the gamble paid off. But that's not the real test. The real test is week 2, week 3, week 4. Do those inflated numbers hold? Or do they crater back to the baseline once the novelty wears off? Sustained ratings growth requires more than curiosity. It requires compelling product that keeps viewers coming back. It requires storylines that develop over time, competition that feels meaningful, players that audiences genuinely invest in beyond viral moments. Angel Reese can provide the initial spike through name recognition and controversy, but can she deliver the substance that turns casual viewers into committed fans? Can she show she's been working on her game during her absence? Can she prove she's locked in for the full season this time instead of disappearing when something better comes along? What makes this situation fascinating is the three-way tension it exposes in women's basketball right now. On one side, you've got players demanding to be respected as elite professional athletes who deserve serious investment and media coverage. On another side, you've got leagues like Unrivaled prioritizing social media engagement and content creation over competitive integrity. And on the third side, you've got fans who claim they want pure basketball, but consistently engage more with drama and controversy than with actual game excellence. Angel's return is a test of which side wins. Does the audience reward substance or spectacle? Unrivaled's choice to restructure everything around Angel Reese's return tells you what they actually believe about their audience and their product. They're betting that personality matters more than performance, that brand recognition trumps loyalty, that the curiosity spike is worth the disruption. They're revealing that despite all the rhetoric about empowering women athletes and building sustainable professional opportunities, they're still operating on the influencer economy model, where engagement metrics justify everything. That's not necessarily wrong. It might be smart business, but it contradicts the narrative they've been selling about what they're building. So when Angel Reese steps on that court February 20th, when the cameras are rolling and the promotional push reaches its peak, ask yourself what you're actually watching. Are you watching an elite athlete proving she's committed to championship basketball? Or are you watching a content creator's return to relevance, carefully orchestrated by owners who value clicks over consistency? Because the answer to that question tells you everything about where women's basketball is actually heading versus where everyone claims they want it to go. And whether Angel's return succeeds or fails, whether ratings spike or stay flat, the real story is what Unrivaled was willing to sacrifice to find out. Stay locked in with my channel, Simply Explained, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.